2 NFL recap. Got the iPad here with all the scores, and let's just jump into it. Thursday night, Bills blow out the Dolphins 31-10 in Miami. Tua gets his third concussion, I believe it was, right? That guy's gonna, I know people have been saying he should retire. I mean, you know he's got to be thinking about it. He's got to be thinking about it because he did not slide either, apparently. I don't know if this is something he just doesn't attempt to slide often. Because when he got this one, he wasn't sliding. He went head first into the defender. So they gotta, if he's coming back, they gotta be like, listen, you gotta get low. You gotta get, but of course, if you're getting hit in the pocket, there's nothing you can really do. But he can control that when he's running down the field. Because it's going to just happen more and more now. He's just going to keep getting them. It's not something where it's like, okay, if he just avoids getting hit at all, he will not get them. But that's scary shit. And he's going to be, I assume he's out for at least a month. Well, I should keep him out a bit, but either way, he was not doing well before that. 145 yards, touchdown, 3 picks. Skylar Thompson comes in 80 yards. Their running back, Kane, 96 yards rushing, nice little game there. He also has 69 yards receiving and a TD. Tyreek Hill didn't do well, 3 for 24 receiving. Josh Allen, 13 and 19, 139 yards at a pick. Didn't have to do much apparently, and I wonder if I'll have to look actually. James Cook, 11 for 78, 2 TDs, rushing. Shakir has 54 yards receiving. James Cook has the receiving touchdown as well, so a nice game for him. Jamarcus Ingram did have a interception return TD for the Bills. 2 picks as well. They only had 1 sack. There's only 1 sack in the game total, so Bills make an early statement in the AFC East. There was no Friday night game this time. On to Sunday. Hit the wrong button. The Saints destroy the Cowboys in Dallas. This is the Cowboys. It doesn't matter if you're just a football fan. If you're a Cowboys fan, it's even worse because you got to deal with this shit every year. If you're even not a Cowboy, this Cowboys, they follow literally the same script every year. Although I guess it's speeding up a little bit this year. They have a hot start. People get excited. They get blown out or they lose a game they shouldn't. People start to question them. They either completely collapse or they squeeze into the playoffs and don't make much noise. But they always have the expectations, but that's also because it's Dallas. But they just get thoroughly destroyed here. Prescott, 293 yards, touchdown, 2 picks. He's sacked 3 times. They barely run the ball. 21 carries for 68 yards. I keep forgetting that Ezekiel is back with them. Dowdle, 30 yards rushing. C.D. Lamb did have 90 yards receiving and a TD. They had 1 sack as a team. They did have a pick from Donovan Wilson. Derek Carr, nice little game. Only throws 16 passes. 243 yards on 11 completions. 2 TDs and a pick. Kamara, 3 rushing touchdowns and 115 yards. Shaheed, 96 yards receiving and a TD. Wow, Kamara has a receiving touchdown as well. Has 65 yards receiving. Whew. Keeps playing like that, he'll be the number 1 pick in the fantasy drafts next year. He might have been this year, I don't know. They did get 3 sacks and 2. Tyrann Mathieu is on them. He had a pick. Paulson, a Debo, had a pick for nice little, the Saints looking good those first two games, and that's going into Dallas. Can't even look at going into Dallas as a test. Like, I hate to say it, but even if Dallas is good, like, I feel like Dallas doesn't have much of a home field advantage. I feel like, have they ever, at least back when they were legitimately good in the 90s, it's not like they haven't been great. They had some great Romo years, but and they've had great Prescott years, but they just don't. They just can't get it done. There's something wrong with the organization. Now, maybe it's Jerry Jones. He's not a good enough GM. They just have a... It's weird. They don't have a culture of losing, but they have a culture of underachieving. Because they're never... Usually, the Cowboys are never terrible. And they'll have really good years, and they squeak out like a win in the playoffs from time to time. But the fact that they haven't gone to they haven't gone to an NFC championship since, what was it, 96? It wasn't been in the 95 season, but 96 playoffs. That's it for the Cowboys, which, I mean, they call them America's team, but I think the Steelers are probably the most popular team in football. Like, just overall popularity. Like, the fact that they haven't gone to a Super Bowl or an NFC championship in almost 30 years is actually kind of mind-boggling, because you think they would have just stumbled into one, being the franchise that they are. It's weird. Like, I'm a Broncos fan, like I said, loosely these days, and it's been like that for years. But it's less annoying to be a Broncos fan, and they've sucked since the year after the Super Bowl. I was like, the last winning season was 2016, and I feel like it's less stressful to be a Broncos fan. I guess because they suck and there's no expectations. But Bucks, a lot of home teams losing this week. The Buccaneers beat the Lions in Detroit 20-16. Bucks are 2-0. Oh, by the way, Bucks are 2-0. Lions are 1-1. Bills are 2-0. Dolphins are 1-1. Cowboys are 1-1. Saints are 2-0. Baker Mayfield, not a lot of quarterbacks throwing a ton of passes this week. 12-19, $185 touchdown pick. He sacked 5 times in the win. He was their leading rusher and ran for a TD. Godwin has 117 yards receiving a TD. Baker did fumble twice as well, but he recovered one. He didn't lose him. Excuse me. No sacks either. Wow, just an interesting game. They didn't do a ton offensively. They have no, they didn't do much. Goff throws 55 passes, 307 yards, 2 picks, no TDs. Jack Fox throws 1 pass for 17 yards. Gibbs 84 yards rushing. Montgomery 35 yards rushing a TD. St. Brown 11 for 119 receiving. Aiden Hutchinson has 4.5 sacks. Damn, hell of a game there for him. Brian Branch had the pick. McCullum and I can't say this other guy's name. Christian something than I. They each have picks for the Bucks. The Bucks had no kick returns or punt returns. Everything was a touchback, apparently. Oh no, they were just, no, I'm sorry. Couldn't have been touchback. The fair catches on the punts, probably. But Bucks go to 2-0. Nice little win. Line should be fine. That's a weird game. That just seems like a weird game. It's not like they were dominated or anything like that. They just lost. Packers beat the Colts to move to 1-1. Colts go 0-2, 16-10. The Packers win. The first home team of the week to win. Anthony Richardson for the Colts, 204 yards passing, a touchdown, and 3 picks. Not a good game there. there. Jonathan Taylor, 12 carries, 103 yards, though. Alan Pierce has a receiving touchdown for the Colts and 56 yards receiving. They fumbled 3 times but didn't lose any of them. They had no sacks. They had no picks. Oh, that's right. Jordan Love's hurt, banged up, right? So there you go. I was told that he's going to only be out a couple of weeks. So they immediately get a win without him, which is key. Malik Willis is starting in his place. 12 of 14, 122 yards and TD. Josh Jacobs, 151 yards rushing. Willis also runs for 41 yards. Wicks has the receiving TD. Doubs Doubs has 62 yards receiving for the Packers. 1 fumble from Josh Jacobs that he loses. They only have 1 sack, 2 by Devontae Wyatt. Oh, they had the 3 picks, McKinney, Williams, and Wilson. 3 field goals for the kicker of the Packers. Anyone you get without Love is huge. Hey, maybe this guy Wills is solid too. Then there'll be the debate. Should he be starting? I love when they do that in football. Jets beat the Titans 24-17. Rodgers gets a win, his first win as a starter for the Jets. The Jets get their first win of the season. Titans go 0-2 to 0-2. This is another one of those just kind of games. Oh, this slow ass thing. Rodgers 18 of 30. 176 yards, 2 TDs. He gets sacked twice. Breece Hall 62 yards rushing. Braylon Allen 33 yards rushing and a touchdown. Breece Hall has the receiving TD. Has a receiving TD as well. Allen also has a receiving TD. Sorry, Breece Hall did not have a rushing TD. Allen did. Garrett Wilson 57 yards receiving. 3 sacks for Will McDonald, the 4th. Brandon Eccles with a pick for the Jets. Titans 0-2. Will Levis. 192 yards, a touchdown, a pick, sacked 4 times. Pollard 62 yards rushing. Calvin Ridley has a rushing touchdown. Calvin Ridley has a receiving TD, as well as leading the team at 77 yards receiving. Levis fumbles and loses it as well. 2 sacks for Harold Landry, the 3rd. So I got the 4th on the Jets for 3. And the 3rd has 2 for the Titans. Just one of those games. Jets get a win. I think as the year goes on, I think you'll see Rodgers start to get into a groove. The fact that he's played the 2 games is key. Big win for the Vikings over the 49ers. 23-17. Vikings go to 2-0. 49ers 1-1. Once again, I saw this I was looking at the stats during the game. Sam Darnold for the Vikings. Another excellent game. 268 yards, 2 TDs and a pick. He rushes for 32 yards. Ty Chandler has 82 yards rushing. Justin Jefferson had a huge 97-yard TD. 133 yards receiving, with a TD, and Nalor has a receiving TD. Darnold did fumble twice, didn't lose it. Aaron Jones lost a fumble. 2 sacks for Pat Jones. The 2nd has 2 sacks. A lot of people with 2nd, 3rd, the 4th are all getting sacks. Nick Bosa for the pick was by, I can't say this guy's name, Medalus. Josh. Fred Warner has a pick for the 49ers. Nick Bosa has 2 sacks for the 49ers. I'm going backwards now. Purdy, 319 yards, touchdown and a pick. He has sacked 6 times. Jordan Mason, starting from McCaffrey, 100 yards rushing with TD. Deebo Samuel, senior, 110 yards receiving. Kittle has the receiving TD. Purdy loses a fumble as well. nice 2-0 start for the Vikings. Sam Darnold's been excellent. I remember Denver. He went to them this year, right? Because he was on the. Was he on the Panthers last year? I feel like there was murmurs that Denver was going to try to get him, and I was kind of like, you know what? Maybe you should. And they didn't. I bet you they didn't give up much for him, or maybe he signed with them. I don't know. I don't know if he's traded or he signed as a free agent. Pats beat the Seahawks. Seahawks beat the Patriots 23-20 in overtime. Seahawks 2-0, Patriots 1-1. I want to say the Patriots blew a lead in this one. Maybe they didn't actually. They were losing this game for a bit. Brissett, 149 yards passing and a TD for the Patriots, sacked 3 times. Gibson and Stevenson, 96 yards rushing for Gibson to 81 and a touchdown for Stevenson. They run for 185 yards. Hunter Henry, 109 yards receiving. Polk has the receiving touchdown for the Patriots. 3 sacks as a team. Geno Smith, 44 passes, 327 yards, a touchdown, sacked 3 times. Charbonnet, 38 yards. They barely rushed the ball. 38 yards and a TD. Metcalf has 129 yards and a touchdown. 29 yards receiving. I can't say this guy's name. I'm just going to call him. I can't say his last name. Jackson Smith, 117 yards, 17 yards receiving. They have the 3 sacks. Oh, it's a kick return. No picks in this game. Jason Myers, 3 for 3 on the field goals. They go to 2-0. An early division lead for the Seahawks. The Commanders beat the Giants 21-18. I think the Commanders only had field goals. And the Giants only had TDs, even though they had 18 points. Because I think their kicker got hurt. Or something like that. Daniel Jones has a better game. 178 yards, 2 TDs. Singletary, 95 yards rushing. And a TD. He did lose a fumble. Malik Nabers, 127 yards receiving for the Giants and a TD. Robinson has the other receiving TD. They had 5 sacks. Pinnock, 2 sacks for the Giants. Jaden Daniels, 226 yards and 23-29 for the Commanders. Redskins, Commanders. However it comes out, it comes out. If I forget to call them the Commanders, I'm going to probably do that all year. He's sacked 5 times, but he's a nice little game. They run the ball for 215 yards. Robinson Jr., 133. Daniels has 44 yards. Rushing as well. Ertz, 62 yards receiving. For the Commanders, the 1 sack. And Austin Seibert, 7 of 7 from field goals. 45 was his long. So there you go. Giants 0-2, Commanders 1-1. Chargers beat up on the Panthers 26-3. The Panthers are awful. I thought Denver was bad. Panthers are done. I think they just benched Bryce Young for next week. Like 2 days after the coach is like, he's our guy. Anytime a coach says someone's their guy, they're getting benched. Herbert, 130 yards, 2 TDs and a pick. Dobbins for the Chargers, 131 yards rushing and a TD. They run for 219 yards. Quentin Johnson has both TDs and leads 51 yards receiving for the Chargers. Herbert lost a fumble. They only had 2 sacks. Molden had the pick. Bryce Young, 18 of 26, 84 yards and a pick. Now, once again, they don't have a ton of offensive talent, too. So you almost can't. I'm not watching the Panther games. I am in North Carolina now. Maybe I should focus on the Panthers. They're not even good. I can't even switch to them. I don't think they have a lot of offensive talent. Hubbard has 64 yards rushing for them. Tremble with 23 yards. They do have Austin Thielen. Miles Sanders sounds familiar too. They had 1 sack. Horn had the pick. They are not good. They are not a good team. And they might not be for a while. Similar to Denver. Denver's made strides and then they just blow it up. They went 8-9 last year, but I'll get to Denver when I get to Denver. Browns beat the Jags 18-13 to go to 1-1. Jags are 0-2, so not a good start for them. Watson, 186 yards, no TDs, no picks. He sacked twice. Ford, 64 yards rushing. Foreman, 42 yards rushing. Watson does have the rushing touchdown for the Browns. Good old Jerry Jeudy, the former Bronco, leads the way with 73 yards receiving. I was annoyed they traded him. No, I mean, he wasn't living up to potential, but I don't know why they got rid of him. They should have kept him because they need receiver help so bad. It's like Sutton. Sutton, I feel like it's none of them are that good. 4 sacks for the team. No picks. This is another just game. Their kicker was 3 of 3 with a long of 53. Dustin Hopkins. Trevor Lawrence, 14 of 30, 220 yards. He sacked 4 times. No TDs, no picks. Etienne Jr., 52 yards rushing and a TD. Brian Thomas Jr., 94 yards receiving, leads the Jags. They get the 2 sacks. They don't do much of anything. Cam Little, 2 for 3 field goals. Not a good start for the Jags. They blew, I think, a 17-0 lead to the Dolphins in week 1, and then they lose this game. Cardinals obliterate the Rams 41-10 in Arizona. Kyler Murray, hell of a game, 17-21, 266 yards, 3 TDs, no picks. James Conner, 122 yards and a TD rushing. Murray rushes 59 yards. They have 231 yards as a team. So teams are running all over the place this weekend. Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm assuming that's Marvin Harrison's kid. 4 for $130 receiving and 2 TDs. Nice little game there. McBride has 6 for 67. Higgins has the other receiving TD. Clayton Tune loses a fumble. 3 sacks for Gardeck. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's how it looks. Oof, 0-2 for the Rams, 1-1 for the Cardinals. Stafford, 216 yards, no picks. He sacked 5 times. 20 rushes for 53 yards as a team. Williams has the rushing touchdown for the Rams. DeMarcus Robinson, 50 yards, leading for receivers. Stafford loses a fumble. They don't do much of anything. Rams not looking too good, and they lost their top receiver, right? The rookie last year. Puka, is that how you say his first name? I don't know. Oh, my beloved Broncos. Offensive juggernaut. Their D still looks pretty good, though. They lose 13-6 at home to the Steelers. This game sucked. I was watching a little game cast. Fields for the Steelers, 17. At least Wilson didn't start for the Steelers. Although they honored Wilson, the Steelers, after winning. Like, was that just like a dick move or something? I don't know. Because he played for Denver. Steelers go to 2-0. Broncos 0-2. Fields, 117 yards and a touchdown. He sacked twice. They rushed the ball for above 41. Harris leads the way with 69 yards rushing. I can't say this guy's last name. Pat has 39 yards. Fryermuth, 39 yards receiving. Pickens has 29 yards receiving. Darnell Washington has the receiving touchdown. They did run the ball well, so Denver's run D's not looking great. Highsmith and Watt at the sacks. 2 picks for them as well. Kazee and Trice Jr. Bo Nix looks terrible to start the season. 20-35, 246 yards and 2 picks, no TDs, sacked twice. Their rushing game is embarrassing. I don't know why their line's terrible. He leads the way, Bo Nix, with 25 yards rushing. They have 64 yards rushing as a team. Reynolds again leads the way with 93 yards receiving for the Broncos. Sutton has a catch for 26 yards. Allen and Ellis have the sacks. They just freaking sucked. They are so brutal. Well, Lutz was 2 of 2. He was the guy getting points. Apparently, and I'm going by fans of Denver. I go to their Instagram page. I'm not watching these games, so I'm not seeing what Knicks is doing. Their line is brutal. They don't have a lot of offensive talent. And I'm going to start to go nuts on Sean Payton. But they're a bad team, obviously. And Sean Payton is not a good enough coach to make mediocre players better through schemes. The dude was overrated, always overrated in my opinion. He benefited from having Drew Brees. You know, it's easy to be an offensive genius when you have a ton of offensive talent. When you can make mediocre talent better than they are, you're a great coach. I'll say he's good, but he ain't a great coach, okay? You know. Or the game has just passed him by. But the thing is, he's never coached garbage offense, so you don't know if his schemes are actually that good that they'll make mediocre players better. Of course, you don't know if Bo Nix is terrible or not. Apparently, he looks scared. He's not throwing the ball downfield. A lot of these dink and dunk crap. They're just a bad offensive team. And defensively, they still look okay, though. But offensively, they're a freaking joke again. They're terrible. I'm so glad I don't care enough about them anymore, because if I did, I'd be losing my cool. But I'm only like I'm like annoyed, and I kind of laugh. You gotta love these coaches like Sean Payton. They want their guys in. I don't want Wilson anymore. I want my guys. I actually am not that good of a coach offensively. I only benefit from having stud offensive players. And now I can't coach a mediocre talent to be better, like a Bill Belichick could do, or a Mike Tomlin could do. He's not on that level. Alright, where are we? Chiefs beat the Bengals 26-25. The fans were losing their cool about this game. I don't know why. Both sides, I think, more Bengals. Mahomes, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 151 yards. Their running back did get hurt, I believe. I can't say his name. 90 yards rushing for him, though. Rashee Rice has a receiving touchdown, 75 yards. The Chiefs moved 2-0. Bengals are 0-2. Bengals needed this game. And they were leading throughout, but... And the Bengals always play the Chiefs tough. They either beat them or they lose a tight game to them. They're always tight games between these two teams. That's the funny thing is the Bengals are really the only true threat to the Chiefs in the AFC. They're the only real threat to them, in my opinion. Like, not to say another team couldn't beat them. And the other threat was the Patriots when Brady was on them, but then Brady left and then beat him again. Well, they were still... Brady was a threat to the Chiefs. What a surprise. He beats them right in the championship. One championship game when he was coaching. When he was quarterback in the Patriots. And then obviously they beat him up in the Super Bowl when he was the Bucs. So it's really just Brady-led teams and the Bengals have any kind of shot at beating the Chiefs. Everybody else in the AFC is not doing it. They're not doing it. Because I want to say they're maybe, I don't know how many times the Bengals and Chiefs played each other. I want to say they're like 2-2 against each other, including the playoffs. We'll say Burrow and Mahomes being the QBs. But anyway. Chiefs get it done, though. Steele loses a fumble for the Chiefs. They do get 3 sacks and a bunch of half sacks for guys. No picks. Harrison Butker had 2 field goals along the 51. Burrow has a nice game, 258 yards, 2 TDs, sacked 3 times. They barely run the ball. The Chiefs ran the ball well for 149 total yards. Moss leads the way, 34 yards rushing for the Bengals, 74 as a team. I can't say this guy's name. Gesicki, 91 yards receiving. Burrow does fumble twice and loses 1. Hendrickson has 2 sacks for them. 2 picks are from Britt and Gaither. But Chiefs get it done. They find ways to win. But like I said, I feel like the Bengals, in the AFC, the Bengals are the only kind of team that could beat them. They did beat them once. They lost 2 once in the playoffs. They at least are not like the Ravens or the Bills. When they play the Chiefs, it might be a tight game, but you know the Chiefs are winning, you know. I said Chiefs go 2-0, Bengals 0-2. I missed some things, though, too. Oh, I missed a game. Oh my God. I skipped the Ravens and Raiders. I went to the Rams Cardinals. Raiders beat the Ravens, though, and the Ravens dropped to 0-2, so they're on fraud alert. Raiders go to 1-1. Minshew, a touchdown and pick, 276 yards. He sacked 5 times. They barely run the ball. 17-27. White has 24 yards rushing to lead the game. The Raiders. Mattinson has a TD. Rushing TD. Devontae Adams, 110 yards and a touchdown. Receiving. Brock Bowers has 98 yards. 2 sacks from Max Crosby. Spillane has the pick. Lamar Jackson, 247, touchdown and a pick. Derrick Henry, 84 yards rushing the TD. Jackson rushes 45. They have 151 yards rushing his team. Zay Flowers has 91 yards receiving in the receiving TD. 2.5 sacks for away. Humphrey has the pick. Ravens dropped to 0-2. That's not good. They'll probably bounce back, though. Sunday night game. Texans beat the Bears. 19-13. Come on. Slow ass iPad. Caleb Williams, 174 yards rushing, receiving. I'll get it right the third time. Passing and 2 picks, so he doesn't look good either. Him and Bo Nix. I don't know what other rookie quarterbacks start, but they both don't look good. Bears dropped 1-1. It's only 2 games though. Texans 2-0. He sacks 7 times, Williams. He does rush for 44 yards though. They run for 74 as a team. Herbert has a rushing touchdown for the Bears. Moore leading receiver with 53 yards. Couple of sacks. Not much doing. Stroud, another nice game. 260 yards. Touchdown. He sacked 3 times. They don't run the ball much either. 22 for 75. Akers has 32 yards. Rushing. Nico Collins, 135 yards. Receiving and a TD. Akers loses a fumble. 7 sacks, and a lot of guys get him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys had sacks for him. 2 picks from Lassiter and Stingley Jr. So 2-0 for the Texans. I feel like they're going to run away with that division. Is every other team 2-0? 0-2 in that division? Jags, Titans, and Colts, I think, are all 0-2. And the Monday night game, last night's game. The Falcons have the comeback at the end to beat the Eagles in Philly, so another big loss at home for a supposed contender. They're both 1-1 now. Kirk Cousins, nice game, 241 yards, 2 TDs, no picks. Robinson, 97 yards rushing. Algier, 53 yards rushing. Mooney, 88 yards receiving and a touchdown. One has 54 yards receiving and the other touchdown. They have 1 sack as a team. Bates the third has a pick. 3 for 3 for the kicker of the Falcons. I don't know if his last name's just pronounced Koo or not. Y'all know Koo. I don't know if that's how you say it. He's a good kicker, though. Apparently he's one of the best in the league. Eagles, Jalen Hurts, a touchdown and a pick, 183 yards. Barkley, another nice rushing game, 95 yards rushing. Hurts rushes for 85 yards in the TD. Devontae Smith has the receiving touchdown and 76 yards. 1 sack from Williams. Shipley has the pick. So, nice little win for the Falcons on the road. And that ends the week. Let me make sure I didn't forget any other games. Oh, come on, you stupid thing. Yeah, I got everybody else, alright. We'll see what week 3 holds. Who's Denver losing to in week 3? Pats play the Jets on Thursday night. Oh, the Bucks. They play the Bucks in Tampa. That's a loss. But yeah, that's the week 2 gum-chewing NFL recap. Some upsets there. Falcons, coming back and winning like 30 seconds left in the game. The Cowboys getting blown out by the Saints. I mean, I wouldn't consider it an upset. I guess the way it happened, it's kind of surprising, right? I mean, Bills over the Dolphins isn't much of an upset either. Blowing them out, it's a little surprising. But anyway, that's week 2, and thanks for checking this out, and have a good day.